The following installation video will cover step-by-step instructions for the all-new EdgeCool IT server cooling system by Denso. First, begin by assembling all the tools needed for installation shown here, noting that additional tools and equipment may be necessary for your unique installation.
Next, ensure that all required parts and accessories are accounted for, noting that some hardware such as refrigerant pipes, cage nuts, and condensate pump are not included in the Denso EdgeCool kit and may need to be sourced separately.
Always review complete installation manuals and guides thoroughly before beginning any installation. A full list of manuals can be downloaded from our website at densoedgecool.com/downloads. To begin, we will start with the evaporator unit rack mount assembly. Measure the opening space between the vertical mounting rails on the rack and the rack door. In this installation video, we are setting the vertical mounting rails back 120 millimeters from the front door using positions 5 and 6 on the left and right stay brackets. This will provide an unobstructed path for cold supply air in front of our electronic equipment above the EdgeCool. While the vertical mounting rail distance to the front door will vary from one installation to another, using position 4 or greater on the left and right stay brackets should prevent blocking of cold supply air grills in most applications. Higher mounting positions will provide a greater clearance of the cold supply air grills. This is ideal for electronic equipment with large bezels that overhang the vertical mounting rails. However, due to variations in many racks, accurate measurements should be taken to ensure the evaporator's cold air vents are not obstructed by vertical mounting rails on the sides nor IT equipment above. Use this opening space measurement to determine where to attach bracket A to the front side of stay number 1. Then loosely attach bracket B to the back side of stay number 1, ensuring that both bracket A and B are attached at the same heights. Repeat these steps for stay number 2 and its remaining bracket A and B. Attach the assembled stay brackets 1 and 2 to the desired location on the rack mounting rails using cage nuts and screws. Note that the appropriate cage nuts and screws for this step are unique to each individual rack and are not included in the EdgeCool bracket kit. The lowest mounting positions on the vertical mounting rails will allow for the maximum amount of space for IT equipment above. However, to ensure proper installation of the condensate pump, a higher mounting position may be necessary depending on your unique rack. Once stay 1 and 2 have been mounted parallel to each other and at the same height, secure each stay by tightening the screws on the rear B brackets. Before mounting the evaporator unit to the rack, it is recommended to install the wire harness sets first. Begin by removing the quarter-turn rivet and removing the filter panel on the rear of the evaporator unit. Next, remove the 4 bolts and the filter frame. Pass wire harness A on top and wire harness B on bottom through the right side holes on the unit, then secure each grommet cover. Ensure that the ends with the longer strain relief for both wire harness sets are inserted into the evaporator unit. Inserting the wrong ends of the A and B wire harness sets may result in damage or improper function. Connect wire harness B to the corresponding 8-pin, 5-pin, and 4-pin control connectors inside the unit as shown here. Then connect wire harness A to the inside power connector port on top. When installing a condensate pump, pass the pump wire harness through the bottom hole at the rear of the unit. Remove the jumper connector from the mating connector inside the unit and insert the pump wire harness as shown. Be sure to return the filter frame and the filter panel to the rear of the unit before moving on.
When installing the evaporator unit, it is recommended that 2 people use a hand lift to carefully slide the unit from the front of the rack into position. Attach bracket C with 4 bolts from the kit to the front of the assembled stay brackets to secure the unit. Additionally, secure the unit to the rear of the rack using 2 bolts from the kit, inserting into the corresponding stay brackets. When installing the condenser unit into the rack, begin by attaching the condenser stay number 1 to the front of the mounting rails with 4 cage nuts and screws unique to your rack. Then install condenser stay number 2, that includes a cutout on the left side, to the rear mounting rails, ensuring that both stay 1 and 2 are mounted parallel to each other and at the same height. Next, attach the left and right horizontal brackets to stay 1 and stay 2 with the 8 screws from the kit, ensuring that the rack door will close after the brackets are installed. Before inserting the condenser unit into the rack, remove the rack top panel. Using a hand lift, position the condenser so that the sliding rails of the condenser unit meet up with the mounting brackets from the front of the server rack. Then carefully slide it into the desired position with 2 people supporting. Do not remove the tape holding the power cord until the condenser unit is installed in the rack. Secure the sliding rails of the condenser unit to the mounting brackets at the front with the 2 bolts and nuts from the kit. Then secure the sliding rails of the condenser unit to the brackets at the back of the rack using 2 bolts and nuts from the kit. Once both units are mounted and secure, measure the distance between the gas and liquid 3-way valves on the condenser and the corresponding gas and liquid pipe connections on the evaporator. Use these measurements for cutting refrigerant pipes using a pipe cutter. Note that refrigerant pipes are not included in the EdgeCool kit. Using a tubing reamer, remove any burrs from inside the pipe once cut. Remove burrs with the deburring surface facing down so that chips do not enter the pipe. Remove the flare nuts from both the condenser and evaporator units as shown. Next, add the flare nuts to the cut pipe and using a flaring tool, flare the pipes. Refer to the table shown for the dimensions for processing flares correctly. Check that the flare is of the same length and thickness and that the internal surface of the flare has an even shine. If the following flare defects are found, cut the pipe and flare the pipe again. Apply compressor oil to both the end of the flare fitting of the 3-way valve and the inner surface of the flared pipe as shown. Align the flare fitting and the center of the flare pipe and tighten the flare nut initially by hand. Do this for both the condenser and the evaporator pipes. While holding the nut of the shutoff valve and the 3-way valve in position with a wrench, tighten the flare nuts of the condenser pipe connections. In a similar manner, while holding the nut of the evaporator unit pipe in position with a wrench, tighten each flare nut at the bottom with a torque wrench. Check that the torque of each flare nut for both condenser and evaporator liquid and gas pipes are tightened according to the following requirements. Then connect the charging hoses of a gauge manifold to the control valves as shown, ensuring to press the valve core inside when connecting the charging hoses. Otherwise, the unit will not pull a vacuum. After connecting the center hose of the gauge manifold to a vacuum pump, open the high and low pressure valves. Run the vacuum pump for 60 minutes. When the low and high gauges indicate the following pressure, close the valves and stop the vacuum pump. Be sure the reading on the gauge does not change for 2 minutes. Next, remove the valve caps of the gas and liquid shutoff valves and turn the valves counterclockwise until they stop using a 5mm hex key tool. This will fully open the valve for refrigerant release. Once completed, replace and tighten the caps onto the shutoff valves to the following torque and disconnect the charging hoses from the control valves. Perform a leak test before moving forward to make sure there is no gas leak. Do this using a gas leak detector or a small amount of soapy water to reveal any gas bubbles. If a leak is detected, close the gas and liquid shutoff valves, tighten the flare nuts further, and check for a leak again. If no leak is detected, open the valves slowly. Next, remove the service panel from the rear of the condenser unit by removing the top 2 bolts and loosening the 2 middle bolts. Then lift the service panel up and away. Pass wire harness A through the left hole in the condenser unit and connect to the power connector in the control box. Then secure the grommet. Next, pass wire harness B through the center hole and connect to its corresponding 8-pin, 5-pin, and 4-pin control connectors and secure the grommet. Before connecting the controller harness to the condenser unit, prepare the controller box for mounting. The controller can be mounted to a neighboring wall, or as an option, magnets can be attached to mount the controller to the side of the server rack. Note that magnets are not included in the EdgeCool kit and should be sourced separately. Next, pass the control harness through the right side hole in the condenser unit and connect to CN30 on the relay board in the control box as shown. Finally, secure the grommet to the hole and attach the control box to the desired location, either by mounting to a neighboring wall using the hook or the optional magnets attaching to the side of the server rack. With all 3 wire harness sets connected correctly into the condenser unit, reinstall the service panel on the rear of the unit. Prep the condensate pump for installation by first measuring the length, width, and sides of the reservoir on the bottom of the pump. Use these measurements to properly cut the larger insulator A panel and the 2 smaller insulator B side panels accordingly. Attach all 3 insulator panels securely to the reservoir on all sides, making any adjustments or notches needed to prevent condensation. From the rear of the evaporator unit, remove the 2 bolts already attached to the unit and use these bolts to attach the pump adapter plate to the same location. Loosely insert 2 bolts from the kit into the holes of the adapter plate. Note that the location of these 2 holes depends upon the pump being used. With the pump orientation so that the mounting slots are facing the evaporator and the inlet hole is facing out, slide the pump onto the loosely attached bolts. Then secure the pump by tightening these bolts. Be sure to connect the drain hose to the pump using the L-shaped hose connector if necessary. Install the hose with a gentle slope to prevent backflow of water. Ensure smooth drainage through the hose. If the hose is kinked or clogged, it may cause malfunction or property damage due to water leaks. Using the hose clamp, secure the outlet hose to the outlet spout and run the hose under the rack and away to the drainage location. Note that the pump wire harness and the signal wire must be connected to stop the operation in the event of a pump failure. To begin, protect the signal wires with the spiral tube. Then lift the lever of the splicing connector, insert the signal wire of the pump, and close the lever. Connect the other signal wire to the other splicing connector in the same way. As needed, secure the wires with the tie wraps to the unit or rack to prevent accidental snagging. Flare connection and piping insulation must be properly sealed to minimize heat loss and control condensation.
Improper insulation may cause poor cooling performance or condensed water leaks. Be sure to apply insulation to the full length of both pipes and cut to fit. 2 insulators with adhesive are included with the condenser unit. Cover the gas and liquid 3-way valves, flare connections, and the pipe insulation with the insulators as shown. Repeat this step with the adhesive insulator pads for the evaporator unit as well. To prepare for ducting installation, remove the 4 bolts already attached to the unit in the exhaust air flange and air plenum locations. Attach the exhaust air flange to the condenser unit with 4 bolts. Then attach the air plenum to the condenser unit with 4 bolts. An optional sealant panel may be added to the top of the rack to improve cooling efficiency. Place the self-supported duct over the exhaust air flange and attach the ceiling tile accessory. Then attach the cold air intake duct over the air plenum. To increase cooling efficiency for open racks, optional sealant panels may be added to both the front door and the rear doors of the server rack. To complete the installation, be sure to review the official EdgeCool installation manual for a full install checklist and instructions on performing an initial test run to ensure optimal, long-lasting performance. Visit our website, densoedgecool.com, for a complete list of manuals and guides and thoroughly review all safety precautions, warnings, and proper use and disposal instructions. You can also use the Contact Us and Technical Support features on our website for help with any questions. A service associate will be happy to assist. We hope this video guide has helped prepare you for installing your new EdgeCool IT server cooling system. With EdgeCool, you're ready to revolutionize your IT cooling with the performance and peace of mind you've been waiting for.